of American holidays. We consider 4th of July our national holiday, but Memorial Day is even more important because we honor those who have made the ultimate sacrifice, those who have risked and many times given their life for our country. We're going to talk a little bit about what that means later. What do they do when they give their life for their country? Are they giving it for their country? What they're giving is their lives for the freedom of the people in their country, because it's really all about freedom. If we didn't have a struggle to keep freedom, people wouldn't need to die for their country. It's only because there are people that try and take freedom away from us and others. And that's why it's so important, the men and women of our military who do sacrifice their lives. There is no other thing you could do that's more giving than to risk and give your life for the freedom of the people that live in your country. As always, we are going to start with the National Emblem March. We're going to bring out our color guard, then do the Pledge of Allegiance. I hope you will join me for that. And then we will play the Star-Spangled Banner. Very proudly, we don't just play our national anthem at this concert or patriotic holidays. We play it at every concert we have ever played for 68 years. This is the Sarasota Concert Band. This is our 68th year of playing. And we have been doing this concert at this place on the same day for over 40 years. And we're very, very proud. So, when we do the Star-Spangled Banner, please sing along with us. After that, we'll have taps and a moment of silence. So, we'll bring out the colors now, the presentation of the colors. They today are done by Boy Scout Troop 1001 from Nokomis, Florida, and we really appreciate them being here for this important event. Thank you very much. Please rise. Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Join us in the national anthem. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
really cool. So what am I hearing? Just so I can do
All right, thanks for your patience on the outdoor concert. Not too much wind, but a little bit. We have to tie our music down before each piece to make sure it doesn't ring out. The first piece we're going to play is kind of something different. And it's the first time we've ever done it. And I and one of our soloists today went from Florida State University, Tallahassee, one of the best music schools in the country. And the band director there, the head bander, decided when Russia invaded Ukraine to do a little bit of looking, and he found a prayer for Ukraine. This is not the national anthem, it's a spiritual prayer that they've had that was written in 1865, and it was written for the children of Ukraine, for a children's choir. Today is about remembering those in our country that have died for freedom, as I said before. But we're going to talk a little bit about freedom around the world too, because even though the main thing is our people, we have to realize we're not an island. There are other people struggling for freedom in the world that's important to us. So I thought with this piece, Dunnigan is his name, Patrick Dunnigan from Florida State, he gave this piece free to anybody in the country that wanted it, that wanted to honor the poor people and the poor children of Ukraine. I checked yesterday. As of yesterday, 197 children have been killed in this war of Russia against Ukraine. So I wanted to dedicate this piece to those children, but then of course last week we had the horrible scene of some of our children dying too. So I decided we're going to play this for the children of Ukraine, and we're going to pray this for the children in our country that have suffered deaths from gun violence and other terrible things, and for the children all over the world who have this problem where sometimes it's not just and fair that children give their lives and we have to deal with it and move on. So this is for all of them. Prayer from Ukraine. The composer is Mykola Lysenko, 1885. But its next piece kind of travels along that same lines. It's called Sweet Sorrows, written by a composer named David Jacks, and I'll introduce you to our soloist here in a second when I tell you about the piece. This was written a few years ago, and it's called Sweet Sorrows because the composer wrote on the first page that this is dedicated for the loss of loved ones, friends, colleagues, family members. There's always a sweetness to the remembrance of the person, but then the sorrow that they're gone. And again, we're here today because of the American soldiers who have died, but we have to understand that they died for our freedom. And if the rest of the world has freedom go away, and we're the only ones that are free, it's going to make it a lot tougher for us to stay free. If other countries in the world attain or keep their freedom, it makes it easier for us to keep our freedom. So people say, why are you talking about Ukraine? Because those people, if you turned on the TV or looked in the newspaper or read it online, they're struggling for their freedom. Their lives have been turned upside down. They did nothing to deserve this. And freedom is on trial right now. Freedom is under attack. And if those people go down, the next step is Poland and Europe, and oh my gosh, it could get worse from there. Right? And look at the people of Ukraine. Doctors, lawyers, ministers, they're putting away their jobs. They're taking up guns because they have to defend freedom in their country. So I thought this would be a good time to think about those poor people in Ukraine and all around the world. People are struggling for that one word, freedom. And we have it because people have died for our country for 2.5 centuries. And we can't forget that. But we can't forget the others that struggle for freedom too. This was written as a saxophone concerto. One of my closest friends, my mentor, an incredible saxophone player. He was a Florida State University teacher of saxophone for 40 years. He's toured the world a couple times. He suggested this piece, and we decided to play it with that in mind, that freedom is something we can't lose. We don't want to be sorrowful for our or other people's loss of freedom. This piece is very sweet and beautiful, as it says, Sweet Sorrows, at times. At times, it mimics the horrors of war. It is dissonant at times. It is aggressive and somewhat barbaric at times, because that's the way life is, if you see what's going on in Europe right now. So, Patrick Meehan, please welcome him for me, our soloist on saxophone. We're going to play this in dedication to all the people around the world, especially Ukraine, fighting their freedom and for their freedom, and our soldiers, men and women who have given their lives for our freedom and will continue to, as long as there's crazy people in the world that keep trying to take it away from people. Anyway, this is Sweet Sorrows. Mr. Meehan is going to start with something a little bit special to lead into. Patrick Mina on the alto saxophone. One more time, ladies and gentlemen. Patrick Mina. Incredible instrumental solos. You'll hear the other in a minute, but now it's my pleasure to introduce you to our vocal soloist. We always like to have a vocalist on this concert. It's so important to sing the patriotic music again for those who have given their lives. So it's my pleasure to introduce this person. She's the first time singing with us. She does a lot of wonderful musical singing all around the community. She's a member of Sarasota Baptist Church, where she's one of the lead singers over there. It's her first time with us, so please give us a warm welcome to Miss Emily Brown. I think you know this piece.
I did. This is hot.
We'd like to have a speaker every Memorial Day to talk about how important this event is and the activities we're doing here. And of course, again, I can't stress it enough, we're here about the men and women who give their lives. But there's also something else that people don't talk about that much. It's called survivor's guilt. Yeah, some of them come home. I've known a couple who've come home, and they don't come home right. They come home with problems. They come home different, and different not in a good way, when they went. And some of them, it changes their life for the rest of their lives. And sometimes it's not a good thing. And so we need to talk about that a little bit, because I don't think it's talked enough in our society. When people came home from Vietnam, we found out about Agent Orange. We found about all the different things that made it rough even to come home. The homeless rate among veterans who come home is higher than the normal homeless rate in our society. The suicide rate of veterans coming home is higher than it is of the normal population, and that's a problem. So we wanted to have a speaker today. She's a woman who has compiled a book about her father's letters home. And he made it home, as she'll tell you in a minute here in a speech. But he didn't make it home the same way he went. So we think that's very important. So please help us. She'll be selling this book, by the way, at intermission and after the concert. All, and I will stress the word all, of the proceeds from this book go to veterans organizations. She's donating everything to the people who need it. So please help me welcome our speaker today. A very, very wonderful person that's done this for the good of the veterans. Her name is Dr. Sherry Zahn. Please help me welcome her.
Thank you, Bill. And thank you to all these band members who are giving us such a wonderful round of entertainment on such a special day. Okay, it's Memorial Day. I was raised to call this Decoration Day. This holiday began in 1868, 3 years after the end of the Civil War. The Grand Army of the Republic saw a need to unify the country north and south. And they thought the best way to do that was to have one day in which everyone, both north and south, were dedicated to one activity, decorating the graves of their war dead. Consequently, we got Decoration Day, which is now called Memorial Day. I would like to tell you the story of a World War II soldier. His name was Tony, and he was my father. He did not die on the battlefield, lucky for me. But what's that, you say? This is a day dedicated to those who fell in battle. But if you bear with me, I think you'll see the relevance. Tony was born in 1921. He was a Boy Scout. He was an artist. He was an excellent photographer. He was a classically trained musician, and he had been to college as a music major. He had a bright, need I say, stellar future ahead of him. But the American world was rocked on December 7th, 1941. Everything changed. As soon as he was 21, he enlisted in the Army and was assigned to the Signal Corps. He was sent to California and then to several camps in the Midwest for basic training and maneuvers. And then ultimately back to California, where he shipped out to multiple destinations in the South Pacific, and finally to the Philippines. He arrived in Leyte Gulf, L-E-Y-T-E, Gulf, during the Battle of Leyte Gulf, which was the largest naval battle in the history of the world, and it still holds that record. It was the event at which MacArthur returned to the Philippines. Dad was billeted 2 blocks from MacArthur's headquarters. The Japanese had held the island for years, and they were not about to give it up. So you can imagine what it might have been like, or maybe you can imagine, being 2 blocks from the primary target. Sorry, I'm old, I need notes. The Japanese were fierce fighters, and Tony's letters home could not describe what was really going on because of censors. A lot of people don't understand that during World War II, any GI from any branch of the service who wrote a letter to anyone got that letter read by censors. They were looking for any information, however innocent, that might jeopardize military security. So his letters home were fairly benign. And add to that the fact that GIs didn't want to scare their parents and describe the carnage that was going on around them. Because the letters had to be fairly benign, on Christmas Eve 1944, Tony received a letter from his father. And I would like to read you part of Tony's response to that letter. Imagine this is being said by a 23-year-old guy. Of all nights to receive your first letter to this address, it had to be this one. 100 times within the past 2 hours have I wished it might have gone astray or been destroyed. I had undergone a unique experience and wrote a true account of that experience. But in an effort to relieve some anxiety, I failed to tell you the whole truth, with the result that you recounted my story and added, well, there can only be one conclusion. You have not yet experienced war. I have not yet experienced war? God, man, what do you take this for? A ladies' aid clam bake? And what do you think I've been doing all this time so that you may sit at your desk and write letters like that? I've had bombs drop so close that they showered me with debris. When the tracers were cutting the grass, I've been so close to the mud I've had to spit out quantities of it. I know what it is to see the place you've just quitted go up in a crescendo of flame. I've missed getting mine by a mere whim which happened to lead my feet in the right direction. I've seen our artillery roll the Japs back inch by inch, tree by tree. I've seen sights beastly and gory, but only one made me deathly sick. When a band of guerrillas brought a trophy from a downed Zero, a hand-embroidered baby's bonnet. I know what it is to sit up all night with your finger on the trigger, waiting for an airborne attack, waiting and waiting for God knows what, waiting. And all you can do is sit and curse the monkeys, cockatoos, and tree toads for their infernal din, waiting in the dark, the unknown, impenetrable dark, where every bat that comes out of the void to whoosh past your ear is 10 years off your life. Where do you think that I smashed my wristwatch, falling drunk on the sidewalk? Where do you think my airmail envelopes got burned up? In a football rally bonfire? I've been as close to the Jap front line as from your home to Hempstead, and I've had a Jap patrol cross as close as from you to Scanlon's. I live in a rice paddy that has been fertilized for centuries with human manure, so that every time you kick up a clod of dirt, you want to heave. I've forded rivers that bear every form of hookworm and liver fluke. I've tramped through terrain infested with malaria, typhus, dengue, and worse. You sound just like I have returned. Go ahead and say it. I have returned. You might as well take some of the credit. Everybody back home is doing it. God, I'm crying like an infant. The Americans eventually took Lady back from the Philippines, and Tony remained on that island for the rest of his military service. He returned home in January 1946. The rest of Tony's life was profoundly damaged by his combat experience. He married, had 2 children, but the marriage didn't last because he was becoming a severe alcoholic. After World War II, there was no diagnosis of PTSD, there were no support groups. The attitude was just, hey, you're home, get back to normal, everything's fine now. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You're safe. Tony took an entry-level job with the telephone company and 38 years later retired at the same entry-level job, having refused all offers of promotion. In a squalid, miserable apartment. He had given up his music. He gave up his art. He gave up everything. He just drank. Beside his easy chair, there was always a tall stack of books, and they were all about World War II. Tony's life had ended in 1945. Memorial Day is to remember the fallen, people who died in combat. But Tony didn't. He returned home. But I think we need to remember that there's more than one way to die. Parts of you can die inside. Parts of your soul can die. Our combat veterans can tell you that they are not the same person who left home. Something died inside them between the time they left home and returned. In closing, I'd like to read the epilogue that I wrote for the book of my father's World War II letters, Tony's War, which I'm selling as a fundraiser for veterans organizations. The injuries sustained by members of the military whose misfortune it is to experience the unspeakable horrors of combat are not always physical. I am convinced that my father's life was severely damaged by a profound and debilitating sense of survivor's guilt. I believe that he forsook a life of accomplishment and prosperity, ignored his skills and talents, and marginalized his living conditions because so many of his Army buddies never had the chance to live beyond their youth and achieve their potentials. In that sense, Tony's life became an apology for having survived World War II. So on this day of remembrance for the fallen, I would ask you to also remember our veterans who are still living, but who have died a little bit in a different way. God bless you all, and God bless and preserve the United States of America. Thank you.
Bravo, it really makes you think, doesn't it? Okay, we're going to dedicate the next piece, called Serenade, by the great band composer Albert Reed, to those people. Again, we're here to honor the fallen, but there's more to it than that. So this next piece is for people who made it home and didn't really all the way make it home. It features our clarinet soloist, our principal clarinetist. He's just joined the band this year, phenomenal player. We're so glad he plays along with us. And he's going to be doing this Serenade by Alfred Reed. And his name, the clarinet soloist, I'm so proud to announce him to you, is John Fulham. Please help me welcome him.
Blessing and portal. Yes. We should be throwing them more.
I forgot to tell you before our new principal clarinetist, John Fulham, walked out, he's a Juilliard graduate. He's played under some of the finest conductors and some of the finest orchestras in the world. We're so glad he's semi-retired here because now he's ours. One more time for John Fulham, please. And every time we do a patriotic concert, we get to my favorite part. This is probably my favorite part of all, the Armed Services medleys. It's all the songs from all the branches of the military. We hope that you enjoy it. We also hope that you will stand up. If you served, if you had a relative who served, or a friend, please stand up when their song comes. This is the Armed Forces Salute.